Hi, I hope everybody is having a healthy and happy December so far. Tonight I'm going to share some ideas to kind of festive up your plants. Before we get started, let me say that this is for the Heart of Texas African Violet Society. So if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, be sure to go down in the description box. I'll have a link for them. Go check them out on Facebook. You can watch these programs every single month for free. So if this is the type of content you like, this plant care, go over, and all you have to do is ask them for the link each month and you can join in and you will learn so much. Okay, so I hope everybody has a drink, hot beverage, or cold if that's your thing. I've got my Inca here. If you have a Polish deli or a Polish store near you, give it a shot. It's really good. And we're going to get into this. Let me do a little disclaimer that the stuff I show you is going to be Christmas themed because that's the holiday I celebrate. But if you celebrate a different winter holiday, you can adapt these to your holidays. So like Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any of the other winter holidays, you can change up the colors, you can change up the metallics, things like that to make it fit your style. This is just to give you ideas of things that I do that maybe could be fun for you. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with the pots. So that's one of the easiest things you can do is to change out your planters or to decorate your planters. I'm going to go through first a couple of the ones that I've just bought at retail. So I've got this one here, and this one is Naughty and Nice. Now pots like this are very easy to find if you're looking at like small owned businesses, so small plant stores. Coffee shops, a lot of times, the ones where like they sell merch inside, will have different pots and things for the season. And I try and buy from them whenever I can. All of these that are retail, I have gotten down in the Bethlehem/Easton area. So we've got that. And this is just, this doesn't have a Gesneriad in it. This is actually a Coleus Tidbit Tammy that I picked up at the Gesneriad convention. Another planter I've got a little reindeer. This is just to give you an idea of like what is out there. And this has an Uliarum dunburnsii. And then the last one I'm going to show you that's specifically a planter is just this Santa one. And this is styled like the Santa mugs, which I'm going to get into. And this has an Anthurium warqueanum that's kind of on its last legs, but trying. Now, I love thrifting. And I have a collection of vintage Santa mugs. You may see some of them behind me, but I've pulled some out to show you today. And they are perfect for miniature African violets. And what I like to do, I have them all potted in their own small pots so I can switch them out during the year. I put aquarium gravel in the bottom. That way it lifts them up a little. And if they're dripping, they're not just sitting in water. But I love using these Santa mugs for this, and it's the perfect size. And they come in so many different styles. Like this one here is completely white. And I've got a Petrocosmia in that one. And another thing I like to do, I like to group these together. I feel like when you put them all together, it makes more of an impact. Another thing that you can do with the planters is use things that aren't technically planters. So this was a candle that I had picked up at TJ Maxx, and I bought it just for the container because I liked how it looked like a vintage milk carton. And if you want to get a candle out, put it in the freezer. It makes it a lot easier to pop the candle out or to scrape it out. And then this is just the Primulina JV Thunderbolt. But candle holders make really great ones, especially if you can find little like mercury glass ones. They're great for all the winter holidays. Other things that I like to use as planters are teacups. So all year long when I'm thrifting, I'm looking for special cups that might be good. So this one is a Christmas cup. And this one is definitely a little bit taller, so this could fit most of my small Gesneriads in it. These are not strictly Christmas cups. They're just a cup that had red, but I thought they would be great for this time of year. So things like that. And then something I'm always on the lookout for is transferware. And you can get this in all kinds of colors, so you can have it to fit any scheme. I have this one in red. I also have some pieces in brown, which I really like for Christmas too. And these are great with this mini African violets. There you go, you can see that. Really easy to switch out. And then If you don't want to put a plant in it, you kind of want to just nestle it in, you could put an ornament in it. It also looks good that way. And then one final thing that I'm going to show you that I've done to planters is simply tie a ribbon around them. Velvet ribbon. This one is a navy blue and it's on a Columnia domingensis. I have seen people put socks around planters too. I have never tried it, but they'll take a sock and kind of slide it over it almost like a cup cozy. So, but this is something that's really easy to do. Kind of just dresses it up. And that is the stuff that I've done to the planters. Now let me show you some actual in the plant and on the plant type decor. All right, so I have a tray of goodies here that I'm going to try and go through pretty quickly with you just to give you ideas of things that I use or have used in the past. So stores like Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, if you go to those stores, or other stores that have like small Christmas tree sections, they always have tiny ornaments. This was the year I did disco balls and bright ornaments. I have a bunch of these that are decorated like gingerbread cookies, but these are generally very lightweight and they're not gonna break the plants you put them on. I love putting things like this on a Norfolk pine, but any plant with like a woody stem should be able to hold some of these lightweight ornaments. Use your judgment, but another thing I like are lightweight garlands from that section. So I've got this one here, and this again was from when I did that colorful Christmas. This, I believe I actually put on a euphorbia. I liked this to start green with this, but you could wrap this on anything. These are really lightweight wood beads. They make pom-pom versions, which would be good wrapped around. And then another set of garlands I've got here are these bead garlands. And these are just the cheapy ones from Walmart. And I took them outside and sprayed them with nail polish remover to give them a mercury glass look until I can thrift the real deal. So if that's something you're into, vintage, these would be great for any winter holiday, not just Christmas. But make sure if you're going to age them with acetone that you do it outside, because you don't want to do it on any of your surfaces. It can eat through it. Something that I use constantly, even year round sometimes, are fairy lights, and you can get them in all different types of colors. So this one here is like a silver one. I always try and make sure I find the ones with the timer. It makes it a lot easier than having to turn them on by hand. I find I will not use them as often as if I have to turn them on every day. So I use ones with a timer. But just an idea, you can get ones with silver wire. You can get ones with copper wire. You can get ones that have jingle bells on the wire. And one of the good things about these is that if you want to use this on a plant that's smaller, you can just kind of fold it back in half on itself. It's wire, so it will kind of like stick to itself almost, like you can kind of twist it around itself. So you would fold it in half and then kind of just twist it back on itself. It'll double it up so you'll have more lighting, but it'll also make it so you don't have to wrap it around a small plant so many times and see so much wire. It really works well for that. And then finally in my little tray, I've got some velvet ribbon. And pretty much at Christmas, there is nothing I won't put velvet ribbon on. I've tried it on pretty much everything. I did one year just the tree with it, but it also works really great in plants. So I'm going to show you something that I did this past year and fell in love with. So I've got my lipstick plant here, and I put velvet ribbon on this plant. And I'm going to roll some B-roll footage right now. And it just shows you how I made these ribbons. I did them on plant Velcro. That way it wouldn't damage the stems at all. You don't have to tie it. You don't have to make any knots. It's easy on and off, and you can use it from year to year. It'll work on any plant that has a woody stem like this. So lipstick plants, goldfish plants. I even have them on my Ripsalis. And you can do any color that you like. You can, if you're having a pink Christmas, do pink ribbons. I put them on this plant because I liked the way that that dark red kind of went with the back of the leaves. I thought that was a really pretty contrast. It's easy to put on. It's easy to take off at the end of the season. I think I'll probably do more of those next year. Something else that I like to do is floral picks. And I've got an African violet here to show you. This is one of the Russian or Ukrainian ones. It's like one of the, I think, cosmic something. Kosmicheskaya Faya. I'm sure I butchered that. But I liked this because it's got a white flower. It looks really nice with just the floral pick. And I would always recommend using faux florals because I don't want to mix anything foraged from outside and possibly bring in pests to the plant. But just an easy way to kind of add a pop of color. I also love this with plants that have a little more structure. So plants like snake plants or my aspidistra, where they're kind of like strappy and long, looks really nice with just some pops of red in it. And then something else that I think is kind of fun, I'm going to show you little figurines. So if you have a plant that has a lot of soil, so I've got a Syningia leucotricha here, and I'm going to try and tip it without spilling all this stuff out. But anything that's kind of like bonsai'd or a HOTAVS plant, something with a lot of excess soil, I think looks really cool if you add like a little decorative piece to it. So I've got a couple here just to give you a different feel. I've got a tiny reindeer. You could just put that in. I've got these little plastic figurines that I've had since I was a kid, so they're probably about 40 years old now. But you could change the feel depending on what you want to do. I had a tiny manger scene, but I searched everywhere and couldn't find it this year, so I've got to go through my Christmas boxes, but even like a manger scene would be cute. I think for now I'm going to leave this guy because I like the green on his scarf going with that. But those are some easy ways that you can add things into your plants. I'm also going to put in another B-roll footage here. It's going to be my Norfolk pine just to show you the whole example of fairy lights, ornaments, and something in the soil. That plant is large, so I kind of went all in with it. Okay, and another option is that if you don't want to change out your pots, you don't want to stick things in your plants, you can also just decorate amongst your plant shelves. I like to tuck in vintage wrapping tags. I like to use a floral frog and kind of just stick them into it and nestle them in the shelves. I also like, with a lot of my gesneriads, like my streps and things, they have weird shaped pots, so I can't really drop them into a decorative container. So instead I decorate around them, and I used my vintage Santa collection, which you're seeing here in my hutch, and just added them in around the plants because I could not do anything with the pots. Okay. Now something you could do if you're having company over, or if you're having dinner with your spouse, friend, partner, you could do a little centerpiece. And I'm going to show you what I have in mind. So I have that tray here that I showed you. It's just a metal tray. And I think that putting some shiny bright ornaments, or whatever you have on hand, if you don't have shiny brights, you have regular ones, whatever. I have these here that I have collected from like thrifting and vintage shopping over the years. And I am going to put these in that tray. And I'm going to put some plants in there that I think will go nicely. Maybe even that African violet that you saw with the white flowers. Just something to kind of spruce up the middle of my table. I'm going to go ahead and roll B-roll footage of that. Okay, so working on the tray. I have the 2 African violets I wanted to use, and I found it much easier if I use a placeholder first so I don't damage the leaves. So I've got these kind of where I want the violets to go. I started with the larger ornaments as kind of like filler to take up the bulk of the space. And then I'm going to go in after with some of the neater ones that I like for the shapes and things. But okay, we've kind of got, let me see, we've pulled this one out. I want that more to the top. We'll put another one of these down. Okay, so I'm going to very carefully kind of move these out of the way now and nestle the violets in where I wanted them. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be shiny brights. It just happens that I have these because I've been like collecting them over the years. Now I'm going to go in with some of the ones with like the neat shapes and kind of just tuck those in so they're the ones that you're going to see. Got one of those neat ones I'm going to put over here. And I mean, you can do whatever color scheme you want, kind of however many you want. I'm going to tend, I think, to keep it a little bit more minimal. I just want to not see much of the tray on the bottom probably. But I thought this would be very nice, even just for me to sit out here and have tea and work from home, just to have something pretty to look at. And then I'll swap these out because I don't want them to suffer from lack of light. Even though we are by a window, I like them to get top-down light so they grow more evenly. But this is just an idea that you could do if you were having company or you just wanted to have a special moment for yourself. And now that we are starting to get to the end of all these seated ideas, I am going to show you 2 more things in my kitchen. So say you don't want to decorate any of the plants you have, or you don't have the stuff. Another option is to bring in some holiday specific plants. Now before I tell you about this real quick, let me just say that the cyclamen, I know that they do have cyclamen, or they could have cyclamen mites, which will also affect gesneriads. So I recommend doing it at your own risk. I'm keeping them separate from my other collection in this kitchen window, kind of away from everything else. And I've also been monitoring them every couple days, and I'm using beneficials hidden within. So they're like little sachets of predatory mites that will hopefully get the bad mites before they can do anything if they're there. So now with that being said, let me just get into this. These are all quote unquote seasonal plants. So I've got some little elm woodii, I think cypress, some wintergreen, some cyclamen. In the back, there's some paper whites and an amaryllis. And again, here I'm tying in the transferware with the shiny brights. Another thing I like is ironstone or just white dishware. I think it's really calm and pretty. It will work for every type of holiday that you celebrate. And this could be a way just to bring in some festive if you don't want to go about all the decorating. And then finally, I'm just going to give you a look at my prop shelf. And these I've used, again, little candle cups, which I put in the freezer to pop the candles out. And they're just 12 Days of Christmas, just to hold my propagations, but it kind of is cute in the corner. Something a little festive and unexpected. So those are just some of the decorating ideas I use in my house to kind of bring my plants festive for the season. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed and got some ideas that you could use in your home for the holidays. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holiday. Be sure to check the description box if you're interested in checking out the Heart of Texas African Violet Society. Thank you for watching. Bye.